Hi everyone, welcome back or welcome in if this is your first time to my channel. Today I will be walking you through the various types of brow products that are on the market today, what types of products I recommend for different types of brows, and then I show you my two different most common ways that I do my own eyebrows. So I have actually one technique on one side and one technique on the other, and I will show you how to do each of those today so that you can kind of tailor it to your own preferences. So let's go ahead and start this tutorial. Okay, so before we even get started with any application techniques, I'm going to talk through 4 different categories of brow products and who they are best suited for. So first up, and one of the categories that I like to use is a classic brow pencil. So these can come in different formats. For example, here I have one that is retractable, so you just twist it up, and it comes with a nice spoolie on the other end to help you kind of brush through your brows and distribute the product. This is the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil, and it's an amazing product for only $2. Another version of a similar concept here is the Essence Brow Designer. I've been using this one for years and I love it, but this one is one that you would have to manually sharpen in a pencil sharpener. But either way, both of these are brow pencils. In my opinion, these are best for people who already have thick enough brows and are just looking to kind of even things out and fill in spaces. So for example, like this sparse area in my brow here. However, I have pretty naturally fluffy brows just automatically. So I'm not ever too worried about actually creating like individual hair-like strokes. I'm more so worried about filling in those gaps. But if you have more sparse brows and you are more interested in kind of filling them in and making the illusion of more brow hairs, you might want to lean towards something like this right here. I'll pop one on the screen. It's a brow marker or a brow pen. And these allow for a much more precision application that looks like individual brow hairs. So if you are interested in these pens, you'll use a similar application method to what I'm talking about, but getting like the correct flick of the wrist is something that will just take a little bit of practice. The fourth category is also one that I don't use anymore. However, I used to use this instead of a brow pencil. And this is a brow powder. So these are basically just eyeshadow formulas, more or less, that are the color of natural brow hairs. And for that, you just take a small brush, kind of like this one here at an angle, and you just dip it into the powder, and then you just draw those into any of the spaces or gaps. I think brow powders are actually super versatile products because they can be used on kind of like this long flat edge here to create like more depth like I do with the pencil, so kind of like filling in those gaps. Or you can turn this on its edge like this and create those individual strokes of hair. So I do think a brow powder is actually a really good place to start for a lot of people. And then last up here, and this is a category that I think could be useful for essentially anyone for their eyebrows, and that is a brow gel. So I have 3 different items here that are all brow gels, and these two are essentially the same. So these are tinted brow gels. One is the Essence Make Me Brow and one is the e.l.f. Wow Brow. They're about the same price, they're about the same quality. I don't see a huge difference. And they're this tiny little spoolie that is a tinted gel. So this serves 2 purposes. 1, it adds some color to your brows, and 2, it holds them in place. So you can get a really good shape in your brows by brushing through them with this, and then it'll lock it into place so nothing funky happens throughout the day. I often use these as my only products. I know I have those gaps I like to fill in, but I don't mind my brows looking too imperfect, and these help me kind of shape it in a way where my brow hairs that already exist cover those up, and then it locks everything in place so those don't move around and kind of expose those bare patches throughout the day. I also own one clear brow gel, and this is the NYX Control Freak brow gel, and you'll notice that this tube is gigantic. This is, I think, about $6, and it's such a good deal. And this is great for if you're already going to use a different brow product first, for example, like an eyebrow pencil or powder or even the pens, and then you just want to make sure you lock the shape of your brows into place for the day. I love going in after my brow pencils with this so that it just makes sure everything stays put. So now that we've gone over kind of the different types of brow products and who they're best suited for, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into a tutorial. So on this eye over here, I'm going to be using my Essence Brow Designer pencil alongside my NYX Control Freak Clear Brow Gel. So I'm going to show you the combination of these two products. And this system would be the same whether you were using a pencil, a powder, or a pen. So that's going to be over on this side. And then on this side, I'm going to show you how it looks when I use just the tinted brow gel alone in this brow. So going in first with my recently sharpened pencil, I'm just going to start kind of at the bottom edge of my brows. Now, some people like to draw a line along the bottom to really even things out. But you'll see here, based on the fact that, I haven't plucked my brows in a while, certainly haven't gotten them waxed in a while, I tend to prefer a more natural looking brow. So I want to just fill in where I see that there are gaps. I'm not trying to draw like a perfectly straight line on any part of my eyebrow. So up here in front, I usually have some sparse areas down at the bottom. And you'll see it just starts to create the most subtle definition. So I do just a little bit in the front of my brows there. And then I skip this section right here. And that's because that's very, very thick. That's the thickest part of my brow, as you can tell. So I don't feel the need to fill that in any further. I'm trying to get the rest of my brow to match that intensity. So then I skip over to this little area of my brows at the end here where it has some gaps and some areas where I just don't grow any brow hair. So you can see like in between there is not a single hair. So I always take a spoolie, and some brow products will come with this, like the e.l.f. one that I showed earlier, and some you can just buy separately. So, you can buy these for like $2 online. It's not a hard thing to get your hands on. And I just brush through that portion of my brow. And I try to think about where I'm going to place my brow hairs when I use the gel, because remember that gel is going to lock them into place. So I kind of try to arrange them how I think I'm going to want them to look, because that will help me determine where I actually need to fill in versus where is going to be covered up with hairs once they're arranged and glued down. So I can see I still definitely need to fill in this little gap here and this part up at top. And then I do take mine down basically to the tail of my brow. So now you can see I just have a little bit more of consistent coloration across my whole brow. Before switching over to the brow gel, I always give my brows one more nice brush through with the spoolie. Once that's done, I'm going to take the clear gel and I just brush through just like I just did with the spoolie, but using a very light hand. I'm not trying to push or press into my skin at all. If you want super like laminated brows, you would do that. You would push and drag. But again, like I said, I want a more fluffy, undone look. So I brush them all vaguely in the same direction, just so that I look a little more put together. And then when I get to the end of my brow, I brush up and out. And then because they look a little too spiky for my taste that way, I also brush back down in a diagonal. For me, that's a perfect brow. It's filled in, it's fluffed up, and it's going to be locked into place all day. And now onto the other side. So when I'm going in with a tinted brow gel, I brush my brow up and out first. This is the first step I do rather than kind of in the middle like I did on the other side. I kind of get things in the place I want them. I just take the tinted brow gel. Whenever I take it out, there's this extra on the bottom, and I always just wipe that off because there's little tiny fibers on the brush that kind of will help add some volume to your brows. And I don't want too many of those on there because they will clump up just slightly. I applied a little too much pressure right here in my brow, you can see. And that's what happens with these tinted ones if you press a little too hard. So I will just take my spoolie, my clean, dry, normal spoolie, not the one with the product, and brush off any extra. If you use nice light pressure, it shouldn't really be an issue. But every once in a while I get a little overly excited. So you can see it's filling things in just a little bit, and then I'm just brushing them into place because this is a long-lasting formula and it will hold your brows right where you've put them. The only part of my eyebrows that I don't always love how they turn out when I do it just with the tinted brow gel is this inner corner right here. I just feel like it always looks just a little bit too sparse. So I'm going to fill that in on myself, but depending on the shape of your brows, you may not need to do that. So again, here they are side by side, this one with the pencil and clear gel, and this one with just the tinted gel in it. I am going to finish up the rest of my face of makeup, and then I will be back for some final thoughts. Okay, and I am back with the rest of my makeup done. I just wanted to pop back on here so that you could see what the brows look like with a completed look. So you can still see there are some natural kind of gaps and holes in both of my brows. And again, I've mentioned throughout this video that that is kind of my own personal preference. So if you are like me and that is the style of brows you are going for, I really hope that this tutorial was helpful for you today. If it was, please consider subscribing to my channel before you go today, as well as giving this video a thumbs up and commenting down below. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.